Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to this live stream. This is all about getting you up and running with video marketing. It's really designed for people who have yet to kind of get going on their video marketing journey. So we're going to go really right from the elementary kind of steps and spend the next 45 minutes or so, hopefully giving you a lot of clarity in terms of what you're going to need to do and what the next steps would be for you to start creating your video marketing strategy. First things first, I'd love you. It's all about your questions, and I really want to understand what roadblocks you're coming up against in your video marketing journey. The reason it's really important for us is because obviously I want to be creating video content that's going to help you on your video marketing journey. It's no good me guessing what I think you might be having issues with. I really want to know. So definitely get active in the chats. And if you're watching this on a replay, absolutely smash all your questions into the comments and we will get back to you. It'd be so valuable for us to really understand where you are at and how we can best help you. Right, without further ado, let's crack on with the presentation. So we really are existing in a new normal, and according to some Adobe research done last year in 2020, effectively where we're at now is where we would have been had we not had to contend with COVID. We've effectively jumped 2 to 3 years ahead of where the online growth curve would have been. So there's been a massive migration online of people, and obviously people, but customers critically. The other really important stat, this isn't death by stats, by the way, but these are really important just to kind of underline, really, I think the importance that all of us business owners need to realize that the business landscape has changed, and we need to adapt to carry on being successful businesses. 30% of all retail now is carried out online, and pre-COVID that was just 16%. So that's a huge jump. The customers, like I say, are migrated online. So the question then for us business owners becomes, how do we access these people who are now searching for your products and services online? And the bigger answer, rather conveniently, is to reach them via the means of digital marketing. And obviously what we're talking about tonight is the glorious video marketing, which obviously sits neatly within the scope of digital marketing. Why video? I can hear you mutter. Because it's a proven method of reaching targeted audiences, and video is great at building relationships with people and starting to engender know, like, and trust. And you'll hear me probably bang on about know, like, and trust a lot, because really that is the foundation of sort of fostering and building meaningful relationships online with your customers and clients. If people get to know, like, and trust you, they're then, as the relationship develops and they know more about you and they can understand how you can help them, they become much more likely to become your customers. So that is what we are all about. It is pretty sort of old school in a sense that you're building relationships. Really, they just happen to be relationships you're building online. And the aim, obviously, is then to transform browsers into buyers. So what can video be used for? Obviously, you can put videos on your website, which really does increase your discoverability and your sales. So a few sort of examples of that would be a video about how you can help, sort of like an intro video type thing. Another very popular type of video to create would be team profiles or about us. Now, we'll talk about these later on in a little bit more detail, but these sort of things are great at, like I was saying, fostering relationships, particularly with team profiles and about us. The whole point of that is you're demonstrating that there are people behind the business. It's not just a cold commercial website. You're dealing with people, and fundamentally, people buy from people. The other type of video that you could do, just as a starter for 10, would be a sort of behind the scenes and uncovering your why as a business. Now, this is really critical, particularly if you are in the sort of business of selling products, for example. In that case, you know, the internet has given us an amazing resource in the sense that it's very, very easy for us to search on price. Now, obviously, price isn't the only thing in the equation in terms of where we would end up buying as customers, where we'll end up choosing to buy our products from, because obviously price is one of the elements, but obviously there's a huge element which is service and the added value, and that is where video can come in and illustrate what your added value and the kind of you know, the sort of added value you're giving to your customers, and that will give them added reason to do business with you. Obviously, you can then use videos for a YouTube channel. You could start a YouTube channel. These are fantastic in terms of SEO. They've got an awful lot of SEO goodness. I'm not going to go too detailed into kind of the whys and wherefores of YouTube channels and how to set them up and all that. That is for another day. We will definitely come back to that. It's a huge topic area. But suffice to say that YouTube channels and creating them for your business, I would suggest, would be something you definitely need to be looking at doing. Obviously, it's a video library, but obviously YouTube is owned by Google. So there's an awful lot of SEO goodness that you can get from creating relevant, valuable videos that are useful for your target audience. If you're creating relevant content that is answering specific questions, you know, at the end of the day, people go to Google with an issue. They've got a problem they want solved. They type it into Google. And, you know, if you are creating video content that is super relevant and answers those search queries, then obviously, because YouTube and Google are one and the same company effectively, you could find, if you're in a certain niche that, and you've optimized your videos in the right way, you could find your video content being placed on page 1 of that search return query. Now that is an amazing thing, and I've done it myself for you know, experimenting with videos and stuff. It is relatively easy to do. You have to do a lot of keyword research and stuff like that. Again, that is a subject area we'll sort of glance across today, but that is something we will definitely come back to if you need me to. It's a big subject area and a big part of making sure that your video content gets discovered, and ultimately then that can then lead to your website getting discovered as well. You can also obviously embed videos in emails, and again, it comes back to that whole piece of fostering relationships. People respond really well to video. It's, you know, it's conversational. It can be conversational if it's pitched in the right way. Also, you can say an awful lot in a 30 or 40-second video, you know, as opposed to reams of copy. Now, I'm not knocking the art of copywriting at all, and there's still, you know, copy has a huge part to play in any kind of marketing, absolutely. But video is an incredibly good way of communicating with, you know, potential clients, but also used as part of a kind of email sequence if you're doing stuff post-sale. It's a really, really good way of communicating with your customers and feeling like, you know, they're kind of in the room with you, and it just maintains that relationship, and it maintains your business top of mind, which is obviously critical, especially when you're going through times like we are at the moment. You can also, like I said before, you can use videos within the sales process. I alluded to it just a minute ago with the emails as a sort of post-sale thing. But during the sale process, if you have got an existing sales funnel, you can place videos within that process to help usher people through their buyer's journey. So you can use them on thank you page, where you can use them virtually anywhere, but they're typically used, like, you know, if you've just bought something, you can then, you know, you can then plop it on a thank you page, which again, it just adds to that personal touch in terms of your client's kind of experience of your business, especially nowadays when a lot of it is being carried out online. As I said before, after sales added value, you could also as well as doing, you know, embedding them in emails and everything, the other thing you can do is create instructional how-to type videos if you're selling products, for example, you know, or as a service, there might be something that you require your clients to do to make your service more efficient or whatever it is. Video is a great way of communicating that. So the other thing as well you can use them for, which we've had great success with, is creating pitch videos. So if you're a service related company and you're pitching for big contracts, videos are a really, really powerful tool in, you know, really enabling you to communicate a lot in a very short space of time. We've had one particular client that we work with that, on the basis of a few films that we did a one-day shoot, we produced out of that, I think, 5 films. It landed them a £300,000 contract on an investment of 6,500. So, you know, again, I don't want to get too sidetracked by the whole kind of expense discussion, as in how much it costs to create video. But typically people have this impression that video costs a lot of money. Yes, it does take, and it requires investment. Even if you're doing DIY video does take time and money to create on some level or other, but it's such a powerful tool. And if you use it and you implement it correctly, you can get a massive ROI off the back end from it. So, you know, 6.5 grand, absolutely, you know, it is not a small amount of money, but then when it then brings in a £300,000 contract, I think that's a pretty good ROI. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to get sidetracked by that. There is, however, a big warning before you rush off. Get your kits together or start searching Amazon for what the latest camera you need to use is and all of that good stuff. Don't get distracted by the glamour. Unfortunately, 80%, probably more even, of the success of a video depends on planning, and, you know, 20% or so is to do with the kit and the creativity. I might be, you know, over egging the pudding, but the point is, it's so important to plan. You cannot just rush out with a phone and start shooting stuff if you don't understand, if you've not done the legwork before to get crystal clear on who you're talking to, you know, what you're talking to them about, topics and all that good stuff, which is all things we're going to be talking about in a second. But unfortunately, this is, you know, you've got to put the hours in and do the legwork before. Otherwise, what you'll risk doing is creating really scattergun, not very focused, not very relevant video. And therefore, you'll probably be quite disappointed in terms of the ROI you get out the back of it. You'll be spending a lot of time probably creating these videos, and they, you know, you might be releasing them to crickets and getting no engagement whatsoever, which is, you know, does batter the old ego. So planning for effective video. You need to be really focused on your business goals. What do you as a business need? What role will the videos play within your business? You need to be crystal clear about that before you go anywhere near a camera or plugging anything in or rushing off and doing location recce's. You also need to be clear about the investment side of it. And like I said, it's the investment on top in terms of time, but also investment in terms of money as well. You know, if you're deciding you're going to go down the, you know, the commissioning route and commission a production company like ourselves or whoever to create video content for you, absolutely. But you still need to know that you're going to, at the end of the day, get an ROI. So the money in is not going to be more than the return on investment. That is absolutely critical. You also need to know all about your audience. At the end of the day, it is all about your audience, all the content that you produce. And I would argue actually the marketing side of it as well, not just the video, but all of your communications with your customers, your potential customers on socials and all the rest of it. You need to always have them at the front of your mind, because ultimately, you know, there's a lot of noise on the internet, and you need to be the one that demonstrates how you can help those people. And that comes from being uber targeted and really understanding and being really, really empathetic towards your, you know, your target clients. All those three things, those are what we're going to be talking about throughout this webinar. they fit very neatly into the video marketing strategy. So which would be obviously the business goals, the investment required, obviously the audience who you're talking to, but also you'd be looking at within your marketing strategy. Once you come to build that up, you want to be then talking about implementation, where the videos are going to be seen, what platforms, that's a whole strategy within itself. A lot of people try and put the videos everywhere at once and then find they're spread very, very thin, and it's all massively overwhelming, especially if you're a small business. What the advice I would give to small businesses is start with one platform at a time. Work out where your audience, we'll come on to the audience bit in a minute, but as part of that work that you're going to do about, targeting and understanding your audience, where do they live online? Which platform, therefore, would be best for you to target first? Concentrate on that one first, get that right, master that, and then after that, you can, roll it out to Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. But what I would advise against, really, really, really advise against, is try to, hit everyone at once, because you'll very, very quickly get overwhelmed and burn out, and it's not great. The whole point, the whole thing with video marketing, and particularly with socials, is you've got to get to a place where you are sustainably producing video content on a regular basis. The whole thing behind marketing on socials and with video marketing as well is it's all down to consistency. You have got to keep showing up. It's no good creating, 10 videos for 2 weeks and then getting exhausted and forgetting, and then getting bored with it and not doing it anymore. You've got to arrive at a place where you're creating your content in a way that fits your timetable and fits what you're doing, so that it's a marathon and not a sprint. That's what I'd say. So that's what you want to be doing. And then obviously within the marketing strategy as well, you'd be looking at the sort of creative element, the kind of stories you tell and how you tell them. And then obviously there'll be a time element, timeline, have you got particular campaigns? Have you got particular, are you doing something for Black Friday, Christmas, whatever? So there'll obviously be a timeline element to a video marketing strategy too. Well, I hope that's helpful. Anyway, listen, I better introduce myself. I haven't even done that. Why should you actually bother listening to me? My name's Jeremy. It's lovely to meet you if I haven't before. If I have, hello, nice to see you. I have got 20 years experience in UK broadcast TV as a cameraman, DP and producer. I've done a lot of kind of the big shows that you might have heard of, things like X Factor, Strictly, BGT, a very hard-hitting documentary series called Towie, and I've also been very privileged to work with a lot of very lovely and talented music artists, producing concert films for them. Less of those going on at the moment. I've also, though, importantly and maybe more relevantly for you guys, been a business owner, fellow business owner for the past 15 years. So I understand all about what it's like to own and run a small business. So you know what, I feel your pain. The last 3 years, I have absolutely been steeped and gone massively down the digital marketing rabbit hole, and it is a rabbit hole, but I actually really enjoy it. I know I need to get out more, but I have got an excuse at the moment because there is a lockdown on. I'm on an absolute mission to basically take my professional heritage and my skill set and combine it with my passion for business and genuinely help businesses make the most out of video so that they can succeed and thrive, actually, not just survive, especially, in the times we're in right now. Anyway, let's crack on. Video creation cycle. I'll just spool through here because this is slightly random. So this is basically the kind of rough order of things when you're producing a video, just to give you kind of a bird's eye view a little bit of the process that you may end up going through. Obviously, everyone's process is different. There's no real right or wrong, but these are the rough areas you'll need to be looking at. So when you're creating a video, you obviously need to have the video goals in mind all the time so that you know what calls to action to put in them, you know, and how to structure them. Basically, you also clearly need to know who you're talking to. That's really, really critical. That's when things like client avatars, we'll talk about those in a second. That's when client avatars come into play. You obviously then need to think about the topic areas. And again, when you're starting out, especially if you're creating and starting a YouTube channel, picking your topic is vital, because if you're going and producing videos about topics where there are millions of other people are doing exactly the same topic as you, it's going to be a lot harder to break through. However, there are ways of niching down. By what I mean by that is, when you're searching on Google, for example, and you're typing your search phrase in, what will happen is, you may have noticed this already, Google auto-completes, and the same thing happens on YouTube actually. It auto-completes. Now those are actual queries, those are actual search queries that people are typing in. Now, for a start, those are very, very good data in terms of topic areas you might want to cover, because they're coming back to that whole thing of answering specific questions. So someone's typing in that key phrase, I'll do a video that answers that question. Therefore, the next time someone in theory types that in, if your video is super relevant and you've got a bit of channel authority, and this happens over time, by the way, so it's not an overnight thing, your video then stands a good chance of being served up when those people type in that particular search phrase. The key thing with keywords and things like that is you need to be specific. So we then go into the realms of the longer tail key phrases, i.e. Rather than you know, car to buy, it would be blue Volkswagen Golf to buy. Do you see what I mean? I don't want to get too far down that, because that's a whole subject on its own, but you get the drift. So yes, subject, topics, that is a critical thing where you need to do research up front and identify areas which you can basically break through into, because there's not too many people already talking about what you want to talk about. You need to do the video research, i.e. you need to write your script or bullet point your script, structure your video. You obviously then need to get into the whole filming thing. Again, these are things that we'll come on to talk about on another day. Let me know if you think that's a good idea. Bung your thoughts in the comments. It'll be really interesting to know, have you started filming content already? If you have, what are the issues you've come across? Lots of people, you know, there's a plethora of equipment out there, and there's a plethora of one thing not plugging into another, or, you know, now obviously it's my day job, so I do know a fair amount about it. Let me know your filming queries, and we'll create another one of these, maybe all about the filming side of things. But like I said before, kind of we need to do all this kind of planning stuff and strategy stuff before we get excited about the fact that Canon have just brought out a new camera, or Sony have, or whoever. The last bit there is all about reversioning. So obviously after you filmed it, you need to edit it. Again, another whole subject area, which we'll talk about at some point in the future, in terms of taking you through how to edit something, you know, the structure, the narrative, and all of that sort of thing. You need to edit it. And then the critical thing is that you also need to be able to reversion your videos. Reversioning is the notion that out of one long piece of long form content on YouTube, for example, you can then cut that into little slices that then could live on all of your other social platforms. So you're not having to create 10 videos. You can film one and then chop little bits and then create your 10 videos out of that one longer video. I hope that makes sense. So when it comes to video marketing and making videos, you always need to start with the end in mind. It goes back to the whole goal setting thing, and that's what we're talking about now. What are you missing in your business? What do you want video to help you achieve? Now, you need to be, as I said before, you need to be clear about this and spend a little bit of time thinking about what it is you want video for, what you want it to do. You need to set like actual goals for this, and then they need to be part of your marketing strategy, your video marketing strategy, or your marketing plan, because these goals will determine what kind of videos you make. Otherwise, if you don't do this, you could be merrily doing unboxing videos, which maybe, you know, you might want to be raising awareness, and the unboxing videos are doing something completely different in terms of they're for a different part of the customer journey, and they're not really an awareness thing. And then you'll be wondering, oh, I'm doing all these unboxing videos, why is it not working for me? Do you see what I mean? So video can, though, increase awareness of your business, products and services. It can position you either as a business or as someone who runs a business, and it depends what you know how you want to play that. But it can position either a person or a business as the go-to expert within your niche. So, you know, it's about brand awareness, but that sort of thing, if you're positioning yourself as an expert, then, you know, obviously you'll brand your channel. You may have a separate channel to your main business channel. And on that other channel, perhaps you might be starting to create videos that are sort of more you know, maybe commenting on the industry that you're in, or, you know, news or developments or whatever it is. But, you know, you're more of a commentator. You could become more of a commentator then, you know, and over time, you'll start to be regarded as an expert in what you do. Obviously, video can drive more traffic to your website. And that goes to the piece about, you know, the fact that if you produce really relevant videos, you'll be appearing in Google searches, which, as we all know, they are the thing to be doing, you know, appearing on page 1 of Google. Obviously, you know, if you're putting videos and things within your sales process itself, it can drive sales and improve sales and conversions. It can also obviously encourage repeat business too, which is a critical thing we're going to come on to later when we get to the investment piece and all about client lifetime value and working out what we can spend and invest in our marketing efforts. Here is a video marketing funnel. This is like a bird's eye view of the kind of very general areas, you know, of the customer journey. So first of all, you've got awareness. Now, it's almost like a megaphone, isn't it? So you're kind of at that stage, and if you're doing awareness videos, it very much is almost broadcasting that you exist as a business. And you start in those videos to talk about the kind of problems that people in your target market may be experiencing. You then move into the consideration. Now, at this point, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, so we've identified that there may be these issues that, you know, that you have as our potential customers. Our company has a potential solution for you amongst all these other solutions. So you're not excluding anyone else, and you're not doing overt sales at this point. But what you're doing is you're advising. But at that point in the consideration phase, you're saying, we could be what you're looking for. We've got an answer to one of the problems that we've identified in the awareness stage. By the way, these videos don't have to be long, and it obviously depends on the platform that you're releasing them on. But for example, Facebook, you know, these are sort of 2 to 3 minutes. That's all you're dealing with. So you're creating, you know, multiple videos, super targeted, obviously, around, you know, specific groups of people with specific problems, and you're talking to specific pain points that they have. And that's the beauty of, you know, the fact that there's low barriers of entry now in terms of video production. You know, you very much can produce, you know, 10, 15, 20 videos over a period of time at relatively little cost. And therefore, you can really tailor your message directly to a very tightly targeted bunch of people. And therefore, they're much more likely to respond to it because it's so well targeted. So we've talked about consideration, and then obviously the decision stage, where you are demonstrating that you definitely are the people to help them with whatever issue it is. That's the kind of stage. You'd have things like testimonial videos, you'd have client before and after stories, that kind of thing. You also might go into kind of really detailed product or service reviews, that kind of goodness. So that's the overarching kind of video marketing funnel. I hope you found that useful. It's quite a good sort of tool to visualize where all these videos can fit in. Right, so let's talk specifically about goals and which videos can meet goals. Now, there are a couple of examples here. So this is by no means an exhaustive list. It really is literally, we're literally just scraping the surface here. There are hundreds of potential ideas that you can adopt. Explainer videos. So these are short online marketing videos that explain your company's product or service. Now, they don't sell it. They're not sales videos. They're just explaining, and these are often put on a sales landing page or your home page or a prominent product page. The second type, which sort of is like an explainer video, the explainer videos, I should say, they are what we call live action typically. So it might be a talking head like this, where, hello, I'm Jeff, I'm a plumber, I'm great, I've got 25 years experience, bang, 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 whatever it is. But very much live action, person in shot type thing, explainer videos, maybe with a little bit of what we call B-roll, which is that is the kind of video footage that you put. I don't want to get too technical or too kind of into it, but it's the footage that is the wallpaper type footage that you put over the talking head to illustrate a point and to basically freshen it and make sure that it doesn't get too boring and staid with one shot for the 2 or 3 minutes. Whiteboard videos tend to be animated. Now, the reason that people use animated videos, you've probably seen them. They're the ones that look like people are scribbling on a whiteboard. The reason people use them is because actually whiteboard animation is a really good way of communicating things that are actually quite complex kind of concepts to get across. For example, you could always do it as a live action thing. The issue would be, particularly if you're a smaller business, is that typically, the more complicated something is to explain, the more costly it would be to shoot. Because, for example, it might mean that you need to go to several locations to illustrate the point, for example, or you might need some expensive graphics or something like that. Whereas with a whiteboard, little cartoon thing, person draws out, you can communicate it really effectively like that. And it would not necessarily need to cost the earth at all. The third video that I'm going to share with you for the awareness stage tonight is the Meet the Team videos. Now, these are brilliant for a couple of reasons, because they start to build rapport with your potential customers. They offer a really, really good insight into these sort of workings, and it's almost like a little kind of behind the curtain look at the goings on in your business. It will imbue your business and company with a personality, basically. And again, it's that whole thing, like I said before, about proving that there's humans behind the website. Very easy online, as I'm sure you're aware. Lots and lots and lots of very anonymous looking websites, and you don't know who you're dealing with. The brilliant thing with video is that it suddenly, it gives you a personality. It gives you humanity. The other thing as well that these Meet the Team videos do is a really, really powerful way of communicating very, very succinctly and very, very quickly your values as a company, your why, the reason you do what you do, and that is a massively powerful reason why people will do business with you. Because, like I said before, we transact with people that we like, if generally speaking, especially if it's a higher ticket item. Now, if you're starting to build up a rapport with someone by using video, and also you are doing it in a way that chimes with the potential client's kind of values as well, then that's another thing that you have in common with that person. that without doing that video, they would have no idea that they had that in common with you. So meet the team videos and behind the scenes of your business type videos are really, really powerful because they offer so many clues to your potential clients. And also the other thing to say as well is don't be scared. If people get put off, then maybe, maybe they're just not the right clients for you, especially if you're a smaller business and you can't service millions of clients. Actually, you're going to want the videos to self-select. You're going to want them to act as a filter. So you're only getting contacted by people that really get you and what you're about and how you can help. So you're not getting, your time being wasted by sort of tire kickers, as you might do if you're just hidden behind an anonymous website. Anyway, let's move on to videos that can increase sales. So obviously product videos. Here's an interesting stat. 72% of people would rather learn about a product with a video rather than via copy. So product videos are super powerful. And there's lots of stats demonstrating that a lot of people will, it's what do? We're looking for something on to buy on Amazon or wherever the other places are available, obviously. What do we all do? We look at the product, that's great. We then immediately look at reviews, product reviews, don't we? And we'll look for product videos, people demonstrating them or talking about how good they are or bad or whatever. These videos are super, super popular on things like YouTube, but they are so powerful, and they are, if someone's looking for a widget and there are lots of people that sell the widgets, if you're creating really well optimized videos and you happen to be the video that they end up, landing on and watching, and then you're the video that tips them off the fence and they decide to buy, and then that links there and it links to your store, then you've got that sale. So they are really, really powerful tools. How-to videos as well. These are really, really great. Problem-solving videos that build rapport and trust with your audience. That's the thing. None of these videos need to be selly. In fact, I would argue that the days of sort of hardcore sales, kind of double glazing, salesy, hitting people over the head with a product, even if they don't need it, those are long gone. It's all about actually listening to what the audience wants. Now, figuratively listening now can be done by the fact that we have access to the data, because like I said before, people are typing in their issues, they're asking questions. So we're already, as business owners, we know what we need to do. We know how we can solve, we know that we can help these particular people out. So we don't need to be, running around the room of people that really aren't interested in what we're doing. We can target the relevant people with our relevant video content, before we get too far down the buyer's journey. So these are great. These how-to videos are great for demonstrating your expertise as well. And that's another thing. That's another differentiation between you and someone else. It's a cue for the people watching to go, okay, yeah, they really seem to know what they're doing. That's incredibly powerful again. And it's all about the touch points. And actually, people aren't going to be converted after watching one video. Very, 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 very seldom do they. The average amount of video, or the average amount, I should say, of content that people come into contact with before they make a purchasing decision is a minimum of 7. So, if you are, and that's the whole point with that funnel, you need to be sort of coming into contact with someone a minimum of 7 times before they start considering, whether or not to buy from you. So that's the kind of orders of magnitude of content you're talking about. And that's why you need to start thinking in terms of, really, I would say, you need to start thinking in terms of that funnel kind of structure, making sure that you've got videos that are in the awareness stage, the consideration stage, and the decision stage as well. The other, this is I'm an old whatever, so I don't understand these. And I'm sure there's lots of you that don't either. You scratch your head going, it's baffling. Unboxing videos. People literally unwrapping stuff on camera. You know what I mean? Had they not heard of Netflix? Anyway, but these are incredibly popular, like ridiculously popular videos. A couple of the top channels on YouTube literally are unboxing channels. It's incredible. So here you are, look, 90,000 people are searching for, are typing unboxing into YouTube every single month, 90,000. So why is that relevant? Well, imagine if you create a video, you've got a product video, for example, or you create, you know, you create products of some sort, which you then ship to people. Rather than just doing a product video where the product's kind of in isolation, almost on a desk or whatever, how about doing one where you demonstrate the theatre of how it's delivered? You know, if you're doing, I don't know, if it's something that you gift wrap or whatever it is, you know, it's all about that experience. And honestly, if you do some videos like that, obviously they need to be relevant to what you're doing. But if you do, you know, sell products and you wrap them up nicely, then why on earth would you not do unboxing videos? I'd be absolutely on that, like a ton of bricks. I really would. It really taps into the experience of receiving the product. And actually, I think the reason unboxing videos are so kind of popular is because it really taps into that thing of what it's like to receive a gift, you know, at Christmas or a birthday and things like that. You know, companies like Apple do it so well. The design, there's so much time and effort put in by people like Apple, companies like them, into how their products are presented. It's almost a theatre that goes on with it. Now, I'm sure there's lots of other companies, and you know, there are some great sort of small businesses that do present their stuff incredibly well. If you're one of them, I would absolutely be doing unboxing videos, because I think that, you know, your product name with an unboxing or whatever it is, you know, if people are searching, typing unboxing in 90,000 times a month, you know, I would want to be on, you know, on that particular gravy train right now, I think. I hope you found those useful. So let's talk about investment now. So, you know, you obviously need to work out how much time and resource, as in monetary resource, it's worth you investing in video marketing. But to do that, you really need to understand CLV, which is client lifetime value. Now, there's a disclaimer here in the sense that I really don't want to be teaching you guys how to suck eggs. So if you know about this, it's not going to be particularly long, but I'm not wanting to patronize, but at the same time, if people don't know this, then it's something that's really important to know, because it allows you to budget in a realistic fashion. So I will scoot through this as quick as I possibly can. It ascribes a value to, you know, what a new client brings to your bottom line as a company, basically. And it is a vital business metric for marketing. It will allow you to work out at what level you can effectively market. You know, how much money can you spend on acquiring a client if at the end of the day you know they bring in X amount of money to your bottom line. How you work it out is the average purchase price multiplied by the number of times the client buys from you, multiplied by the length of time that they stay with you as a business. Now, if that's confusing, either do a screenshot, but I have created a video about CLV, which goes into a lot more detail, gives you some examples and stuff like that. You'll find that video on the bit.ly link there at the bottom of the screen, bit.ly/business-growth- with video. Anytime, if I'm aware that I don't want to go on for absolutely ages. There are stacks of video resources on there. They all go into a lot more detail about all these things that I'm talking about. So if you're missing something, definitely go and check out that video, that YouTube channel. So let's have a look at a couple of examples. For example, if you were a handyman and you have a client and they will spend roughly £500 a year with you, and they stay with you, they're a loyal client, your customer service is excellent, your customer retention is brilliant, because you're doing great things like follow-up emails and just generally being a good human, your customer lifetime value in that case would work out to be £2,500. Let's then look at someone like an accountant who charges £2,000 a year for what they do for this particular client. They've also got excellent client retention because, like I said before, they do amazing things like email newsletters, for example. They keep in touch with their clients. They're, again, lovely bunch of people to do business with. So they retain their clients for 7 years. In their case, their client lifetime value is £14,000. Right, so for example, for the handyman, unlikely, I would suggest, to commission people like ourselves to do a £5,000 bespoke video for them. However, well, obviously purely based on the fact that if they got one client in, they're still £2,500 down effectively on that deal. But on the other side of it, they would be perfectly happy, probably, to spend £500 or £600 maybe on some Facebook adverts featuring a video they've shot on their phone, well, having obviously watched all our excellent videos on our excellent YouTube channel. Then you look at the accountants, and obviously that's different, isn't it? If one client is worth £14,000 to them, then that's a different conversation, and maybe they'll look at going down the commissioning route rather than trying to create their own content. Having said that, it's not an either or either in this situation. You can and should create your own content, even if you're also wanting to engage a production company to create content or act as some kind of consultancy basis too. Now we get into the audience thing. This is the final kind of stretch, people. Thanks very much for bearing with us. You need to always, always, always bear the audience in mind with everything you do. Think about with them, what's in it for me? By me, I'm obviously meaning the audience. Always produce valuable content that serves your audience. As businesses, we serve our customers. At least that's my kind of view. We exist to serve our customers. You've got to produce stuff that is relevant to them and helps them out in some way, makes their life in some way or other better than before. How can your product or service make their lives better? Lead with that. It's not a list of features. It's about how it will make them feel or how it will make their situation better having got involved and having purchased your product or service. It's not about you. So there are gazillions of websites that bang on about, I'm an award-winning this. I've got my 25-meter badge. I can dive really from high boards or whatever. I'm a massive and amazing gymnast. No one cares. People only care in the first instance. People only care about how you can help them alleviate or solve their problems. Once they know that, they then will probably say, oh, actually, are you qualified to be offering the product or service that you're saying that you're going to offer us and saying that's going to, make my life better? But it's not something you should lead with, because the audience will only care about their situation. It's all about empathizing with the audience. So really, the bottom line is you've got to produce relevant, specific content, and therefore you have to profile your audience. And to do that, you can use these things called customer avatars. How do you create a customer avatar? What is one, for a start? It's a detailed representation of a group that your business serves. So effectively what you're doing is you're creating a persona, a character of your different sets of people that your business comes into contact with. So they're sort of generalities, but they actually are quite specific, and you need to go into quite a lot of detail. It's not just name, age, serial number. It's actually more about, their education, for example, their career path, their desires. What do they want? Where do they want to go? What's their ambitions? You need to get into all of this detail, because then when you're producing content and you've got those people in your mind, you'll then be speaking in their language in terms which will resonate with them. These client personas, they act as like a sense check as well on all of your communications. You know, if you've got the audience in your mind's eye all the time when you're creating content, it becomes a lot easier. It's a lot more clear. It gives you a lot more clarity. So like I say, it covers age and gender attributes, but also it's really about getting into their mindset and understanding the issues that they're facing. Like I said, it focuses what you say and how you say it. And you may have more than one group of people that you serve within your business. That is not uncommon. But then what you'd need to do is obviously do that exercise, create a client persona for each of these groups. It does take a while. There is a video. I'll go into a lot more detail about how to do this. I would suggest you invest, if you haven't done it already, I would invest time in doing it, because you only need to do it once, and then it does give you absolute clarity in terms of who you're talking to. So in terms of the sort of thing you're after, in terms of questions or information, you're talking about the age, the gender, the marital status, job location, family, education, likely career path, what are their career goals, where are they going, and what are their day-to-day goals within their role, because that will affect how you pitch your product or service. Also, are they a decision maker? And what are the likely issues that they're going to be up against day to day in their role? How can you overcome them? What kind of objections are they going to have to your product or service? And how can you overcome them? You need to be doing this before you're anywhere near them, if you see what I mean, because then you're pre-armed, aren't you? And you can create content that overcomes objections before they've even voiced them. And it means that you then look like you really understand them as people, and therefore they're much more likely to want to transact with you. That's the bottom line. So let's have a look at some tips for effective video. Like I say, you need to be problem focused, focuses on the challenges and the pain points that your customers have and how you can solve it for them. You've got to answer real specific questions. Answering real world questions, not stuff that you think people know. You know, right? People will phone you up on the phone probably if you've got a business. So you've got a sense of what people are after, but back that up with data from things like YouTube and Facebook. Not Facebook, Google, using autocomplete. Also, have a look in Facebook groups. That's why I said Facebook. Facebook groups to do with whatever niche you're in. Look at the feed in those. People are always asking questions. The other one to do as well is on YouTube. Look at your niche. Look at the videos that are, relevant to what you do, and go through the comments, because a lot of the time in those comments there'll be questions, and then create content around those questions. Do your research before you record. Do your keyword research, do your competitor research on things like YouTube and Google, and learn and understand what video is landing well in your particular niche and your audience. Also, when you're creating content and videos, you always need to give a signpost. People need to know what they're expected to do next. So put a call to action in your video, not hundreds of them, but at the end, be very specific about, and at the beginning as well, and maybe sometimes in the middle, be very clear about what you want the people to do as a result of watching your video. And they should mirror your goals. Right, so next steps, take action. Take the time, invest the time in going through your goals, defining your business goals, working out, if you haven't already, your CLV, your customer lifetime value. Also, spend time, invest a few hours in really drilling down into who your audience is and who you serve, and creating those customer avatars. Set the goals, like I said. What do you want your videos to do for you? Really understand, through creating those customer avatars, who your audience is. Also, if you're creating a YouTube channel, what is your channel for? Be specific, be niche. There's a sort of expression doing the rounds at the moment in the digital marketing space, which is niche is the new big. But it's sort of, it sounds a bit throwaway, but it does actually make sense, in the sense that, there are 2 billion users on YouTube now. So, a niche on YouTube is massive, and certainly enough to sort out, a small business. Research before you record. always add value, share your expertise and passion. And this is something as well, which we'll have to deal with another day, but you've got lots of passion and expertise in what you do because you've done it for a long, you've done it and you're an expert at what you do. So don't be afraid to share your expertise and your passion in what you do, and get yourself in front of the camera, get yourself out of your comfort zone, start creating content. You've got to start messy. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. You've just got to start. Because frankly, if you're doing let's talk about very quickly a YouTube channel. If you're creating a YouTube channel, YouTube doesn't even know you exist until you've created about 100 videos. So your first 30 or 40 can be terrible. It doesn't matter. No one really will see them in the end when you've got 1 million subscribers and you're raking in, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of ad revenue a month. But my point is, you need to take action. And then, little baby steps all add up to a much bigger journey in the end. So please do go to businessvideoguide.com. There's a free downloadable guide, business video guide. Pop us your email. We'll send you a copy of that. Like I said before, in a very thinly veiled sort of plug for the YouTube channel, absolutely check that out. We're uploading new content each week. Also, definitely let us know what your issues are. What things are you having problems with? Because we will specifically create content to help you out. That's what we're all about on this channel. Thank you so much for listening. I know it's been a little bit over our 45 minutes. Thanks for bearing with me. All the details are there. Our next live will be on Wednesday, the 24th of March at 7 p.m. I'd love you to join me. We'll look a little bit more, I think, we'll go further down the line in terms of the production process, maybe start looking at kits, starting looking at setups, and all the goodness like that. Maybe start looking at some editing type things as well. So please do join us Wednesday, the 24th of March. Also, if you've enjoyed this will very shortly become a video on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook profile. Please share it with people who you think it could help. We're all about helping people on this channel. It's all about helping fellow business owners and entrepreneurs get under the bonnet of video marketing, making the most of video so that we can all grow our businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the fact that you've invested this time with us. I hope you have a fantastic week. I thank you very much, and we will see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.